First of all, rename the table name equal to fact electric vehicle sales by makers and fact electric vehicle sales by state. In this video, we will go deep into one of the most important concepts in Power BI, data modeling. Before we build visuals, before we write DAX, we need to understand how our data connects together. Without this foundation, even your best charts might show wrong result. So let's learn this step by step. Data modeling. This is the part that decides whether your dashboard will work correctly or break completely. So I will explain this in a simple way. What is data modeling? You can think of data modeling like this. We have multiple tables with different type of information. Now Power BI doesn't magically know how those tables are connected. We need to tell Power BI how they are related by creating relationships. That's what data modeling is. It's about organizing your data and connecting the dots. What is a dimension table? Let's start with dimension tables or lookup tables. They provide context or attributes that describes your data. Think of it like a product label. It doesn't store how many were sold, but it tells you the product name, brand, or category. A dimension table doesn't store numbers, it stores descriptive data. Example from our project, we have a table called dim date. This is a dimension table. It tells us what fiscal year a date belongs to, what quarter it belongs to, but it doesn't store how many EVs were sold. It simply gives meaning to the date. That's what dimension tables do. What is a fact table? Now let's talk about fact table, the action center of your data. They store quantities, results, metrics, things you want to measure. In our case, electric vehicle sales by state and electric vehicle sales by makers. These two are fact tables because they contain electric vehicles sold and total vehicles sold. You can think of a fact table as the result table. It tells you what happened, when, and by how much, but it needs context, and that's come from the dimension table. Here is a very simple way to remember. Fact table equal to transaction table, like where the sales or action happened. Dimension table equal to master table, like where all the description and details are stored. Power BI can automatically build relationship between tables. In your screen, if you see any relationship build automatically, just click on it and delete it because we will create the correct one manually. And now click the date from the dim date and drag and drop it to the date from the fact electric vehicle sales by makers. And now here you see one to many relationship and click save. And now we will discuss about what is one to many relationship. One to many relationships. This is the most important relationship to understand and the one we use most often. Here is how it works. In dim date, each date appears only once, but in our sales tables, each date appears many times. So, one date in dim date maps to many rows in fact tables. That's called a one to many relationship, and that's what we want. This allows filters to flow from the date table to fact table. In case, but if you drag and drop date column from fact electric vehicle sales by makers to fact electric vehicle sales by state, you will see here many to many relationship, and you also see a warning symbol down there. And now we will discuss what is many to many relationship and why you should avoid it. Many to many relationship. Now what if we try to connect two tables that both have repeated dates? Like if you connect that sales by makers tables to the sales by state table, both have repeated dates, and that's called a many to many relationship. Problem, Power BI gets confused. It doesn't know which row to match with which. It can give wrong totals or completely break your visuals. That's why we always prefer one to many relationship. One side with unique values like our dim date and one side with many rows like our sales data. So click cancel and drag and drop date from the dim date to fact electric vehicle sales by state date column. And now you will see here one to many relationship, and that is what we want. So click save. And now we have successfully built our data model. In the next video, we will start to build our dashboards.